The following is a MuchMusic special presentation.
Hello there, I'm Kim Clark-Champness and welcome to Curiosity, a one-hour look at the career of The Cure. Who would have thought that 10 years later this band that emerged from Sussex, England would become one of the major forces in pop music. The doom and gloom sound attracts over 50 and 60,000 fans at certain stadiums around the world. In fact, Robert Smith never thought it would be this big. He threatened to call the band over. But they are still back touring England and Europe right now, playing certain festivals. 8 million albums sold around the world. Their last release, Disintegration, sold over 100,000 copies in Canada alone. This is it, a one-hour look at The Cure, Curiosity.
Robert, the new album is called Disintegration. Is there a theme to this album?
Yeah, the whole sort of the project was triggered by me writing the words to the song Disintegration about last April, around the time of my 29th birthday last year. And it's just about the sense of falling apart that I can't ever seem to shake off. But I think it's true for everyone, really. That sort of triggered off a whole sort of sudden blurge of words over about a 2-month period, and I just wanted the group, if we were going to do something else after Kiss Me album, I knew that I wanted us to do something that had a bit of intensity to it, so that I could spend some time getting back into things that we used to do a few years ago, a bit more bite to them rather than just sort of pop stuff.
Wonderfully, wonderfully, wonderfully pretty. You know that I do anything for you.
To say that it's flippant escapism. But so many people want to write about the fun things that make you forget the trials and tribulations of life, and I believe that that's perhaps a shallow attitude. But to write purely about the dark things too can sometimes be a little obsessive.
No, the Love Cats isn't really the sort of song you'd hear in hell, is it?
No.
A lot of it's born out of a sort of I don't know, a despair, I suppose. I mean, it's all come out of, like, I mean, we constantly, like, argue and talk between ourselves about things. I mean, it ranges from everything, like, it's not only social issues which cause you to despair, but I mean, even the idea that if you don't have any type of faith in anything, it's very difficult to be happy. I mean, properly happy. Started making records like 17 Seconds and Faith, that if people like that, if they're going to be bothered to try and, I suppose, get inside that kind of music, it does forge a bond between the listener and the performer. much more so than if you're just making music that has no kind of emotional depth. Because, I mean, if we're sort of opening up to people, then you expect them to sort of come towards you. It's easy to sing about. I mean, some songs that we've done, and there is a side to the Cure which is very blasé, very banal and very flippant. And but that's just really now to try and balance up the sort of the harder side to what we do. A few years ago, we didn't have that kind of pop side. It completely disappeared, and we became a very difficult group, I think. But no, I mean, we're very aware of how devoted our audience is, and it's sometimes it's quite scary, really. What people expect of us more than anything else. It's
Preconceived notions.
Which is the only area that, as we get more and more popular, that I feel uncomfortable with, of like whether I should be responsible to the audience.
I called you after midnight, ran until I burned. I passed the howling woman and stood outside your door. We walked around the lake and woke up in the rain, and everyone turned over, troubled in their dreams again.
As long as the Cure remains one of the 3 groups that I think I'd like to be in that group, I don't mind what we do. I don't really mind if we disappear or if we're... I mean, we'll never be wildly successful, but if we're as successful as we are, I mean, it's all like based on an attitude more than anything else, and our attitude has always stayed the same. It's like a total disregard for what other people do and what other people think.
Eyes outside and
this is hot. Once it was so hot, this Pepsi like saved my life, dude. See, I was cruising with Wayne after the radical haircut. It was so hot, the trees were on fire, dogs were taking their coats off, whole buildings were wilting, the steering wheels like melting on my hands. So we pulled this Chinese, Japanese, Mexican place and asked for the most ginormous Pepsi. Takes 4 waitresses just to carry it, only they slip. And then this humongous Pepsi wave, wow, it's just like surfing Maui, you kissing a Hollywood starlet. The most excellent Pepsi ever, and I swear, every word is true. Cause Pepsi's got what it takes.
Okay, hostess munchies. Listen up and listen good. Your assignment, uncover the mob. Flat top, prune face, the whole collection. The clues are in this hostess potato chip bag. Exclusive rub-down transfers. You rub firmly to uncover the mob. The reward, Dick Tracy watches. Posters and cash. Remember, if it says instant win, you win instantly.
You got the munchies, nothing else will do. Hostess potato chips.
Fresher with powder. Confident with powder. New FDS has powder for a drier, fresher feeling. Safe, gentle, feminine deodorant protection with powder. Be confident with new FDS.
Brando wants you to take this totally legitimate work. Broderick.
Oh, I don't see how I could say no.
Yes, the freshman.
Exclusive engagement now at the Hollywood, coming this Friday to other select theaters. Saturdays, Much Music puts you front row center. With big ticket concerts. Featuring exclusive concerts. What you gonna do? For the biggest stars. What you gonna do? Every Saturday.
Open up your eyes. Dear Prudence. See the sun is high.
In the 10 years we've been going, we keep losing guitarists. John replaced Robert after his head was scrambled from being in The Cure and the Banshees.
Speaking of Robert Smith, once again.
Why?
Shall we move on?
Yes, why not?
Why was she so mean like that?
Well, there's lots of reasons, but they're not worth talking about, really. I prefer being in The Cure to being in the Banshees.
Can you describe...
She prefers being in the Banshees to being in The Cure, that's fine, but she doesn't know the other side of it, you see, so she doesn't really know what she's missing. I did.
Can you describe just as succinctly as possible? I don't want to linger on it, but I just wanted to get some kind of remark about what it was like playing with them. Was it the bleakest thing in the world?
No, it was, it was good fun. But I think that the element of humour was introduced with me being in the group.
Oh, they don't have a sense of humour, do they?
They do, but they're very, very insular, and almost to the point I found of insanity. It's like, I don't see the point in going to places, and just because people around you aren't in a group, that you then therefore treat them differently. I mean, people are either interested or they're not. It's really got nothing to do with them being in a group or doing anything. People can do absolutely nothing and be like, tell you really good stories. But I don't know. It was good fun being with the Banshees. It's like for about a year and a half. But it just got to the point when I thought I'd rather be back, doing the Cure stuff.
Yesterday I got so old, it made me want to cry. Go on, stroke his way. Go on, the choice is made. Go on, the feels is clear. Go on, the way is good. I know I was wrong when I said it was true, but I couldn't leave me when we were in the tree
Percentage-wise, we appeal to a certain amount of people, and I think that there's a limit beyond which we'd never appeal, which is something that we accepted when we started. I mean, we were never massively popular, but it doesn't really make any difference. I mean, I can think of nothing. I mean, I can think of something worse, but there's very few things I can think of that would be worse than spending your life trying to sell a lot of records in Canada or America. I mean, because the only reason that people encourage you to do it is just to make money for no other reason, and it's totally pointless because, I mean, any money that I'd make above and beyond what I've got already, I'd give it away anyway because I don't need it. So.
Well, how do you as an artist handle that? If you're dealing with a record company structure that is just make as much money as you can off of things, trying to cater to the widest audience as you possibly can so that you can make as much money as possible?
You see, they learn very quickly that we're not like that. That's why we change record labels every year.
How can you do that? What gives you the power to be able to do that?
Because we never take any money off them. And it's, I mean, that's the only terms they think of. If you don't, if you say, we'll sign with you for a year, you've got to give us total control and we don't want any money, they sort of think, what are they up to? So if they don't give you any money, then they don't care if you, at the end of the year, you say, no, sorry, you're not right, you don't want to stay here.
I get really affected by music, like what I listen to, and when I was just being bombarded by awful music, just from all around me.
What era are we talking about?
When I was about sort of 14 or 15, I just thought I wanted to do something about it, and it's always been that. So I've always wanted the group to play music that I enjoy, and as my tastes have changed over the years, our style of music's changed, and it's not really taken into consideration what anyone else thinks about the group. So it is a very selfish attitude, but at the same time, I think people have over the years have respected that. They actually like the idea that we do what we want. Yes. And if they don't like it, it doesn't really matter. I mean, I prefer people to like us than to dislike us, but I would never compromise what we did just to gain that kind of, that love, I suppose, devotion.
All your fans then, I mean, want to know about you personally as intimately as they can in addition to the songs. Do you think that's fair? Do you think it's fair to expect you to be as well like your songs?
I don't think this is important. I mean, it's far less important in other fields of art than it seems to be in popular music. A lot of it's manufactured because people like to have, like idols and stars and this. I mean, but if you read a good book by someone, if I read a book by a good author, I don't rush out and find out what his favourite record is, for example, or what he eats or anything. It's immaterial. If you read a good book, the experience itself is enough. And it's the same with records. I don't know anything about anyone in any other group, but if I hear a good record, then I still think it's a good record.
Yeah. You made an interesting remark once about you never having bothered to go backstage to see any group, no matter how much you liked them, before and after you had sort of backstage rights to any place you wanted to go.
I have actually now. That's changed now. I tried to get backstage to see the Bunnymen and they wouldn't let me go. They didn't know who I was.
Tried to see in the dark, just tried to
Don't just quench your thirst. Crush it.
Scientists are baffled by the sudden appearance of flat, circular areas in these fields. Even more baffling are the traces of real milk chocolate and peanut butter found nearby. With me is Rory Tate, a circle researcher. Have you any idea what caused these circles?
I'm not sure, but I feel very close to a major discovery.
Reese peanut butter cups. Real milk chocolate and peanut butter together.
Through thick and thin, the Nissan Sentra can take just about anything you can throw at it, including compliments. Presenting the coveted CAA award. Further proof the Nissan Sentra is the most reliable car in Canada. Right now, get air conditioning, stereo, and 8.9% financing.
At Air America.
I crash better than anyone I know.
Any landing you can walk away from.
Why don't you go? No, I don't want to go first.
Is a good one. Mel Gibson, Robert Downey Jr., Air America.
Starts Friday, August 10th at a theater near you.
A lot of people, when I'm sort of like just talking to them, saying why, you know, you look a certain way, it's actually in some of the more provincial towns and even in some of the big cities, it's kind of an identification. It's like a gang, and people actually look a certain way, so that if they're walking down the street and they see someone standing on the street corner and they look a certain way, they know they can go and talk to them. They have things in common, so it's almost like a badge. It's not actually adulation, you know, and I think a lot of people misinterpret that. They're actually like it's a kind of gang uniform, which I think is quite sweet. I mean, people are very protective of the group, but it's very rarely that I find someone that actually wants to be me. You know, I mean, they just want to look a certain way because they're showing off that they like certain things. I mean, it's not just The Cure. I think looking a certain way, you take in a whole gamut of things, and people that Cure concerts don't just go to stand.
For the last 6 months, every time that you see some little girl with a funny haircut like this, she says, "When's Robert Smith coming in?" She doesn't say, "When is The Cure coming in?" It's, "When's Robert Smith coming in?" And I know that as far as personnel changes goes, The Cure has pretty much been a revolving door, with the exception that you've never left.
Although it's revolved full circle, because out of the 5 of us, 4 of us have been involved in The Cure before. So there's only really one newcomer, that's Boris. I don't know, I suppose it's just sort of developed over the years that I've become like a focal point. I mean, it's not something that we try and play on. But I mean, the others encourage it because it means that they can stay in bed when I have to come and do this. I mean, I don't mind really. I never really think about it. I always think of me in the third person anyway, when people say Robert Smith. I'm not Robert Smith anymore. I have a different name for myself than Robert Smith.
Because I know that you don't bounce around on stage like perhaps a Paul Young would. It's perhaps more a mystique or a mysteriousness about your character that I think
I'm not a very natural performer, so I find it. I mean, I don't fit very naturally into this at all. I mean, I find most of it really absurd. I mean, things like this is really come out of a decision that was taken like at the beginning of this year that we should try and get this record heard. And it's purely out of the frustration of hearing Paul Young as opposed to us.
It escalates everywhere. Every time we do something, the audience tends to grow, even if it's imperceptibly. Like, can't believe that's a paradox, isn't it? It does get a little bit bigger each time. But it's just that there's sort of, because there's like different levels that you go through, and people suddenly become aware of you, and there's no sort of rest and explanation for what, like, for example, in France, suddenly we've gone through into this next level where it's like real hysteria, but in the rest of Europe it's sort of like the level below it. I mean, it's not something you can really control. Once it gets to a point, you just do what you do. We're definitely better than the average group that plays live. is without question, because we see other groups play live and they're just not as good as us. It's not, I mean, there are groups that are as good as us that I've seen play, but I mean, it's not being belligerent about it or being, you know, like big-headed even. I mean, if we didn't think that we were good, then we wouldn't play. I don't mind thinking that we're the best group in the world. It doesn't bother me at all. I don't expect people to believe me, but what else am I going to say?
You mentioned the looking out of the audience and that strange aspect of being stared back at. How is it for you when here are all these Robert Smith lookalikes down there right in the front of the stage looking back at you?
I've got such short sight, I very rarely see anyone.
Enjoy extra sugar-free gum.
You get extra flavor, extra fun in extra sugar-free gum.
Extra with NutraSweet won't promote tooth decay and gives you extra refreshing flavor that lasts an extra, extra, extra long time.
Extra flavor for that extra long play. Extra flavor for that extra long day. When you chew it, extra, extra fresh flavor lasts an extra, extra, extra long time.
Extra lasts extra long.
Because women sweat too, there's Lady Speed Stick Antiperspirant. Wide coverage that glides on dry for wetness and odor protection all day long. Lady Speed Stick protects you like a man, treats you like a woman.
You'll be 5 weeks old tomorrow.
This is the first non-greasy baby oil. It has twice the moisturizing ingredients of the leading lotions. Baby Magic Rich and Creamy Baby Oil.
How about a game of cards later?
Part of the magic that both of you share.
By Madeline.
Hot, man. This is hot. Once it was so hot, this temp select saved my life, dude. See, I was cruising with Wayne after the radical haircut. It was so hot, the trees were on fire, dogs were taking their coats off, whole buildings were wilting, the steering wheels like melting on my hands. So we pulled in this Chinese, Japanese, Mexican place and asked for the most ginormous Pepsi. Takes 4 waitresses just to carry it, only they slip. And then this humongous Pepsi wave, wow, with It's just like surfing Maui, you kissing a Hollywood starlet. The most excellent Pepsi ever, and I swear, every word is true. Cause Pepsi's got what it takes.
Combat TV conformity. Punch much.
Feels good.
I'm gonna teach the guy my style.
We got some explaining to do.
Wawa.
Wawa.
What?
We're taking over MuchMusic today.
Combat TV conformity. Punch much.
I would say I'm sorry if I thought that it would change your mind. But I know that this time I have said too much, been too unkind. I tried to laugh about it, cover it all up with lies. I tried to laugh about it, hiding the tears in my eyes. Boys, don't cry. Boys, don't cry. I would break down at your feet and beg forgiveness, plead with you. But I know that it's too late, and now there's nothing I can do. So I try to laugh about it, cover it all up with lies. I try to laugh about it, hiding the tears in my eyes. Cause boys don't cry. Boys don't cry.
The first bunch of videos that we've made, the first sort of 3 or 4 years, were awful. Like, the most awful videos made, I think. But once we started working with Tim Pope, we sort of discovered a humorous side to the group, which was the thing that was lacking. I mean, it's very painful, I think, watching a group squirming, which is what we were doing in our early videos. But at the same time, I think the difference between a lot of, well, our videos and a lot of other groups is that with Tim Pope, when we first met him, he said that he would never make the group look good at the expense of the video. Yeah. He actually is making films. He's not trying to sell a record, which is unfortunate because record companies pay for the videos. They expect a certain amount of sell. Yeah. And he's always refused to do that, which I think is really good. I quite like the idea of us being made to look stupid and ugly. I've never liked a lot of of what you have to go through to become famous. I mean, we've become popular through default in a weird way. Just over the years, what's happened is we've managed to retain, I think, our audience, like our old audience, and just add to it. Whereas, again, a lot of groups swap their audience. If they want to be successful, they sort of trade one in for another. But I've never really bothered. I'm surprised at how popular we've become in North America.
Explain it yourself.
Yeah, I really am. But just because of what I look at that is popular, I see very little that I can feel any empathy with or anything that I actually enjoy. So obviously, if we become successful, I wonder why. I just don't remember writing a lot of the words over the years. There's about 75% of them come and I'm in some kind of altered state, either through self-induced or I'm half asleep, or and they're usually just there. I sort of find bits of paper in my pocket or on a bus or at home under my pillow and things. It's very rare that I actually sit down and think, right, I'll write a song, I'll get this out of me. There very rarely is a song ever written in one go either. I usually piece 2 or 3 bits of writing together so that it doesn't mean just one thing, which is where a lot of the obscurities come from over the years. I mean, looking back, I find it difficult to decipher some of the things that I've written. think the most difficult thing is the addictive nature of like that kind of the sense of being stared at and the adulation it is. I mean, it does feed your vanity to an enormous degree, and sometimes it's really good fun, and it'd be stupid and dishonest to deny it. But it can reach a point when, if you lose sight of the actual reason why you're on stage and why you're performing to people, the whole thing just becomes very hollow. And I think that's what happens to too many people. And I wouldn't really like it to happen to us after all the things that we've done. It would take away from things, I think.
isolated areas. They visit the city to take in the culture, the fine restaurants, the symphony, the theater, and genuine Canadian beer. Molson Canadian, what beer's all about.
I got great news for you. We're gonna rock tonight.
Break it down. This summer, turn your office or community dance into the ultimate blowout by hiring the MuchMusic Video Dance Party, brought to you by your local bottler of Coca-Cola Classic. Are you ready for the drop?
Get up, get busy, do it, get up and move that body.
Just give us a call, toll free at 1-800-265-2655, and we'll do the rest. We've got everything you need for a great time, including our mobile music television studio, a live on-screen VJ playing all the top dance videos, plus leading-edge lights and sound. Experience the MuchMusic Video Dance Party, brought to you by your local bottler of Coca-Cola Classic. Can't beat the real thing.
Fresher with powder. Confident with powder. New FDS has powder for a drier, fresher feeling. Safe, gentle, feminine deodorant protection with powder. Be confident with new FDS.
It's a McDonald's summer. Stand up for sand, surf, and sun. Food, folks, and fun. McDonald's summer combos for just $3.99. The Big Mac combo. The McDLT combo. The McChicken combo. And with every combo comes a summer cup. Collect all three summer combos at McDonald's for $3.99. Come on, you know the one. McDonald's for food, folks, and fun.
I think that with a lot of the words, they required a kind of direct approach in the music. And although, having said that, it's a kind of paradox, because they're very direct in that there's nothing sort of clever musically goes on almost the whole record. But within that, there's an awful lot of care and attention to detail. So there's like things that you'll only hear if you really listen to it. But I just, again, it's going back to what we did for a period of between like 1980 and 1983. And I just love that kind of sort of just like washes of sound and just a very simple sort of structures. And I just wanted to return to that. I think that's what we do best, I suppose, deep down. Although like things like The Walk and the Love Cats and stuff, the good pop songs, I'm most comfortable when we're doing longer pieces. And it's the first time that we've really used CD format as well. So it's like in the past we were always limited by the concept of like an A side and a B side and beginning and end and all that sort of stuff. And it always meant leaving something off if you were going to extend things. Whereas with this record there's actually more music, I think, than on the Kiss Me album. You know, it's actually a longer time, yet it's a single album, so it's
73 minutes.
Yeah, so the vinyl album to me isn't the album, it isn't Disintegration, it's the CD and the tape is the album.
Get out from it. So I feel it all fading and paling. I'm begging you to drive you down with me, to keep the last nailing. Yeah, I like you mad, like I like you to scream with. Open your mouth. I can't be responsible for crying what goes in, or to care what comes out. So just pull on your hair, just pull on your power, and let's move to the beat like we know that it's over. Still going under, over my shoulders. So just pull on your face, just pull on your feel, and let's hit opening time down on Fascination Street.
Did you feel that there were a lot of things that you had to purge before turning 30?
No, just the notion of turning 30. It's kind of a paradox, I think. But you're forced into accepting age the older you get. But I still try and sort of fight against it. I mean, against the sort of the mental decline and the physical decline that comes with age. That sort of your loss of a sense of wonder at things, and that, you know, I mean, having nephews and nieces, it's brought home ever more frequently that how old I'm getting, you know, just like inside my head. I'm not being fascinated by things I used to think were really fascinating, and it's just a bit worrying, it's a bit sad. You know, so I try and fight against it by doing something, like writing songs.
What do you do to keep your curiosity alive?
I spend a lot of time with my nephews and nieces, and it's really healthy. I wouldn't like the idea of being a father, I don't think, because the responsibility side of it creeps in, but it's good being an uncle, so I can be very offhand with them, and I never have to tell them off. I teach them how to do all the bad things, you know, and their mums and dads tell them that they shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah. I can only imagine that the departure of longtime friend Lawrence Tolhurst must have been a very difficult time for you.
It was a very slow and inevitable process, really, that started with the Kiss Me album. But, I mean, it hasn't terminated our friendship at all. Again, I mean, everyone that's been in the Cure, there's now 6 people who've been in the Cure and aren't in the Cure at the moment. And of that turnover, I don't speak to only one of them. I speak to the other 5. So there's never any kind of acrimony when people leave the group or rejoin. It's, I mean, I've known Lowell since I was my first day at school. I met him when I was 5, so I mean, it would be a bit difficult to have any kind of sort of bitterness, really. He just drifted apart, I mean, mentally and spiritually away from what I wanted to do with the group. But there's no big deal about it. I mean, there's always been that understanding within the group. It's a very democratic process when we're working together, but if I want to drag the group somewhere, everyone has the choice to sort of go that way or not. But there's just a lot of things with Lowell. He just wasn't really that interested anymore, just in being in a group, really. He was socialising with other people that we didn't really get on with, which doesn't help. People coming backstage that you can't stand. It's like, you know, I mean, when it all added up, we just reached a point where his presence around the others, and it didn't really bother me that much because I could sort of like shut him out, but there was an awful lot of bitterness building up, and I didn't really want it to end in sort of squabbling on tour, because it would have been, you know, it would have taken away from the fun side of what you can do. So, you know, he's all right about it. He got married, and I don't know, he invited us to his wedding, so he can't be that upset.
Sounds like perhaps the most traditional thing that you've ever written. Are you proud of it for that reason?
Yeah, it was because me and Mary got married last year, and I couldn't think what to give her for a wedding present, so I wrote her that song. It's cheap and cheerful. She would have preferred diamonds, I think, but I don't know. She might look back and be glad that I gave her that.
Down the road at other projects that you would like to do aside from recording? Now that presumably without the touring you'll have more time to do things?
Well, one of the things I keep trying to get involved in is scoring an entire film soundtrack, not just contributing to, you know, like a song, but to actually sit down from the start of a project and work right through it. Like Peter Gabriel did with Birdie or something like that. It's I just think that would be very different to sort of work within those parameters, and I think it would be good fun to do. So that's what I'm looking to do, but it's a very difficult area to break into. It's a very close shot in the film world, so it's taking ages to try and get to know the right people. But that's what I'd like to see the group doing in the time, you know, time that we've saved, not touring.
Any non-musical projects?
Staring at the sky, reading books. Yeah, no, I don't. Things like that, I don't really think you can plan. I mean, anything that I've ever been involved in that something's come of it, you know, something creative, it just happens. It's not. It would be really dreadful, I think, to start planning things. I think, no, I'm going to go away and write. You know, things don't happen like that. I mean, good things, I think, very rarely happen like that. I'll just do whatever I feel like doing, I suppose. I'm lucky.
pictures of you and never hold on to your heart. Looking so long for the words to be true, but always just breaking apart. My pictures of you. Pictures of